Ladies and gentlemen, confidence is one of the most attractive traits a man can possess. But there is a key distinction between true confidence and confidence that is rooted in neediness. A man who is truly confident does not seek external validation to feel good about himself. He understands his worth independently of how others perceive him, and this self assuredness naturally draws people, including women, toward him. Neediness, on the other hand, is repelling. It signals desperation, insecurity, and a lack of self sufficiency. Women are instinctively turned off by men who constantly need reassurance or approval, as it suggests that they lack control over their own emotions. A man who operates from a place of detachment embodies real confidence because he is not dependent on the reactions of others. He does not alter his behavior in hopes of impressing someone, nor does he fear rejection because he knows his value remains unchanged whether someone accepts or rejects him. This kind of confidence is rare and it immediately sets him apart. Women are drawn to men who exude certainty and stability, two qualities that a detached man naturally possesses. When a man believes in himself without constantly needing to prove his worth, his aura becomes magnetic. Neediness, by contrast, stems from a deep-seated insecurity and a fear of loss. When a man clings too tightly to the outcome of an interaction or a relationship, he unconsciously places the other person on a pedestal. This creates an imbalance where he is no longer acting from a position of strength, but from one of scarcity. Women can sense this imbalance instinctively. A man who over-pursues, constantly checks in or seeks validation through compliments and excessive attention, communicates that he lacks confidence in himself. Instead of appearing strong and desirable, he comes across as weak and overly dependent. A detached man, however, is different. He does not chase, he attracts. He understands that the moment he stops seeking approval and external validation, he becomes more desirable. Women admire a man who knows who he is, who moves with certainty, and who does not let external opinions dictate his self-worth. Instead of needing a woman to reassure him of his attractiveness or value, he already knows it. This self-assurance makes interactions more natural and effortless, as there is no pressure or expectation placed on the other person. Another critical aspect of confidence without neediness is the ability to walk away when necessary. A truly confident man does not tolerate disrespect, emotional games, or situations that do not serve him. He is willing to leave rather than compromise his standards. This willingness to walk away demonstrates strength, self-respect, and an abundance mindset, qualities that make him even more appealing. Women are naturally drawn to men who have options and who refuse to settle for anything less than what they deserve. When a man is willing to step away from something that does not align with his values, he sends a powerful message that he values himself above any single relationship or interaction. Men who lack confidence often make the mistake of overcompensating in an attempt to win a woman's approval. They may buy expensive gifts, agree with everything she says, or suppress their own opinions just to avoid conflict. This behavior is the opposite of attractive. It signals weakness and desperation, and rather than drawing a woman in, it pushes her away. Women are not looking for a man who bends over backward to please them. They are looking for a man who stands firm in who he is. A detached man does not engage in these behaviors because he does not feel the need to. He knows that his presence alone is enough. He does not have to perform or prove anything to earn some. This level of confidence also extends to body language and communication. A detached man carries himself differently. He moves with purpose, speaks with certainty, and maintains strong eye contact without hesitation. He is comfortable in silence and does not feel the need to fill every gap in conversation with unnecessary words. His confidence is evident not just in what he says, but in how he carries himself. Women pick up on these subtle cues and they are naturally attracted to a man who radiates assurance without trying too hard. Ultimately, confidence without neediness is about having a deep-rooted belief in oneself. It is about knowing that your worth is not determined by external circumstances or validation from others. A man who embodies this principle naturally commands respect, admiration, and attraction. Women gravitate toward him not because he chases them, but because his presence alone is compelling. Emotional control is one of the most powerful traits a man can develop not just in relationships but in life as a whole. A man who has control over his emotions is not easily swayed by external circumstances, nor does he let his feelings dictate his actions. This level of self-mastery is incredibly attractive to women because it signals strength, stability. In contrast, a man who is emotionally reactive, who gets easily angered, frustrated, or overly excited appears weak and unreliable. Women are naturally drawn to men who can maintain their composure regardless of the situation. When a man lacks emotional control, he often becomes needy, insecure, or unpredictable. He may overreact to minor problems, seek constant reassurance, or let his emotions get the best of him. This instability makes a woman feel uncertain about the relationship as she cannot trust him to remain strong in difficult moments. A man who is emotionally volatile forces a woman into a position where she must manage his emotions, which is exhausting and unappealing. No woman wants to feel like she has to mother a grown man, constantly calming him down or reassuring him when things don't go his way. On the other hand, a man with emotional control remains steady no matter what happens. He does not panic in stressful situations, nor does he lash out when things don't go according to plan. Instead, he approaches challenges with logic and composure. This ability to stay grounded in the face of adversity is incredibly attractive because it reassures a woman that he is dependable. Women want to feel safe and secure in a man's presence, and that safety comes from knowing he will not crumble under pressure. One of the biggest tests of emotional control comes in relationships, especially during moments of conflict. A weak man reacts impulsively to arguments, raising his voice, becoming defensive, or saying things he later regrets. A strong man, however, listens, processes the situation rationally, and responds with calmness. He does not let his ego take over, nor does he allow emotions to dictate his actions. This ability to handle conflict maturely makes a woman respect him more because it shows he is in control of himself. A man who can remain calm in the middle of chaos is seen as a true leader. Emotional control also plays a crucial role in attraction and dating dynamics. When a man is too emotionally invested too soon, he often makes the mistake of over-pursuing or becoming overly attached. This can push women away because it signals a lack of self-discipline. A detached man, however, understands the importance of maintaining balance. He does not allow his feelings to overpower his logic. He enjoys the process of getting to know someone, but he does not become overly eager or dependent on a specific outcome. This makes him more attractive because women see him as a challenge rather than someone who is desperate for their attention. Another key aspect of emotional control is the ability to manage rejection with grace. Many men let rejection destroy their self-esteem, reacting with bitterness, anger, or self-pity. However, a man who has mastered his emotions does not see rejection as a personal attack. Instead, he views it as a natural part of life and moves forward without resentment. Women are highly perceptive, and they can tell when a man is overly sensitive to rejection. A man who remains unaffected by it, on the other hand, appears confident and self-assured, qualities that make him even more desirable. Emotional control also extends to how a man handles his successes and failures. Some men let success inflate their ego, becoming arrogant or entitled, while others let failure break them down completely. A man with true self-mastery stays balanced, regardless of whether he is winning or losing. He does not allow external circumstances to define his sense of self-worth. Women admire men who remain steady in both good times and bad because it shows that their confidence is genuine, not dependent on temporary highs or lows. Ultimately, emotional control is what separates a strong, desirable man from one who is easily manipulated by his feelings. A man who cannot control his emotions will always be controlled by external forces. His mood will rise and fall based on how others treat him, how his day goes, or whether he gets the validation he seeks. A man who has emotional discipline, however, stands firm in any situation. Women are drawn to this because it represents true masculine strength, the ability to remain composed, confident, and unshaken no matter what life throws his way. A man with a purpose-driven mindset is one of the most attractive forces in the world. When a man is fully engaged in his mission, his goals, and his personal growth, he radiates a sense of direction and certainty that women find irresistible. This is because purpose gives a man a deep sense of fulfillment that does not rely on external validation or relationships. When a man wakes up every day knowing what he is working toward, he carries himself differently. He moves with confidence, speaks with conviction, and acts with intention. Women are naturally drawn to men who have this internal fire because it shows that they are passionate, ambitious, and in control of their own destiny. One of the biggest mistakes men make in relationships is making a woman the center of their world. While love and companionship are important, they should never replace a man's primary purpose. When a man puts a woman above his own ambitions, he loses the very essence that made him attractive in the first place. Instead of being the strong, independent leader she was drawn to, he becomes overly accommodating, available, and dependent on her approval. Women respect men who have their own lives, their own missions, and their own sense of direction. When a man is driven by something greater than himself, he naturally commands respect and admiration. A purpose-driven mindset is also what separates leaders from followers. Men who lack purpose often drift through life aimlessly, seeking distractions, entertainment, and validation to fill the void of not knowing what they truly want. This lack of direction makes them appear weak and unattractive because it signals uncertainty and a lack of ambition. On the other hand, a man with a clear purpose does not need to chase after superficial pleasures. He is too focused on building, growing, and evolving. This level of commitment to his own journey creates an aura of strength that women cannot ignore. Moreover, when a man is focused on his purpose, he naturally develops qualities that make him more attractive: discipline, resilience, and confidence. Achieving any significant goal in life requires hard work and perseverance, and these traits become deeply ingrained in a man's character. Women are not just attracted to a man's success, they are drawn to the qualities he develops along the way. A man who is disciplined and driven exudes a different kind of energy, one that shows he is not easily swayed by distractions or temporary pleasures. This level of focus makes him stand out from the crowd, making him far more desirable than a man who lacks ambition. Another important aspect of a purpose-driven mindset is the ability to remain emotionally independent. When a man is deeply immersed in his mission, he does not rely on a relationship to give his life meaning. He enjoys companionship, but he does not need it to feel complete. This emotional independence is incredibly attractive because it shows that he is not looking for a woman to save him or fill a void in his life. Women want to be with a man who already feels whole on his own, not someone who expects them to be his sole source of happiness. When a man has a clear sense of purpose, he brings value to a relationship rather than trying to take value from it. Men who live without purpose often fall into the trap of excessive neediness in relationships. They become overly attached, constantly seeking reassurance and prioritizing their partner over their own ambitions. This creates an unhealthy dynamic where the woman feels suffocated rather than inspired. A woman wants to be part of a man's exciting journey, not the sole focus of it. When a man is dedicated to his purpose, he naturally creates space for a healthy relationship dynamic where both partners can grow. His ambition and drive inspire her rather than making her feel like she is carrying the emotional weight of the relationship. Having a strong purpose also keeps a man centered in times of adversity. Life will inevitably bring challenges, setbacks, and disappointments, but a man who is focused on his mission does not allow these obstacles to derail him. He remains steadfast, continuously pushing forward no matter what happens. This unwavering determination is incredibly attractive to women because it shows resilience and mental toughness. A man who does not crumble under pressure, who keeps moving forward despite difficulties, is seen as a rock, someone dependable, strong, and admirable. Ultimately, a purpose-driven mindset is about living with intention and refusing to settle for mediocrity. It is about knowing what you want in life and pursuing it with everything you have. A man who has this mindset does not waste time on things that do not serve his mission. He is selective with his energy, his time, and his relationships. Women are naturally drawn to this type of man because he represents strength, leadership, and direction, all qualities that make him an undeniable force of attraction. One of the most fundamental principles of attraction is that scarcity creates value. This applies to everything in life, whether it's luxury goods, rare opportunities, or human relationships. When something is readily available, people tend to take it for granted. But when something is rare and not easily attainable, its perceived value increases significantly. The same logic applies to men in the dating world. A man who is always available, who overinvests in a woman too soon, or who prioritizes her above everything else, diminishes his value in her eyes. In contrast, a man who understands the power of scarcity becomes infinitely more desirable. When a man is not constantly at a woman's disposal, she begins to wonder about him. She starts to think about what he might be doing, who he is spending time with, and why he isn't chasing her like other men do. This element of mystery and unpredictability creates intrigue, which fuels attraction. Women naturally desire what they cannot easily have. When a man is too eager, too present, or too desperate for attention, he eliminates the tension that makes attraction exciting. A man who strategically creates distance, however, becomes a challenge. And women are wired to appreciate challenges more than easy victories. The reason scarcity is so powerful is that it forces people to assign higher value to what is rare. Think about it. Diamonds are valuable because they are rare, not because they are easily found. If diamonds were lying around everywhere, they would lose their worth. The same concept applies to a man's time, attention, and energy. If he gives them away too freely, they become less meaningful. However, if he is selective about where and to whom he directs his attention, women will naturally perceive him as higher value. This is because he signals that his time is important and not easily given away. A man who is always available signals that he has nothing else going on in his life. This is a major turnoff for women because it suggests a lack of purpose and ambition. When a man is always texting, always calling, or always trying to make plans, he is essentially saying that he has nothing better to do. Women are not attracted to men who appear desperate or overly eager. They are drawn to men who have their own lives, goals, and passions. A man who is busy and focused on his mission naturally creates scarcity because he genuinely does not have unlimited time to give away. This makes every moment he does spend with a woman feel more special and valuable. Scarcity also works in relationships by preventing complacency. Many men make the mistake of becoming too comfortable once they have attracted a woman. They assume that because she has shown interest, they no longer need to maintain the same level of mystery or effort. However, attraction is not something that is established once and then remains forever. It must be nurtured and maintained. A man who keeps a level of independence, who does not always immediately respond, and who has his own life outside of the relationship, maintains a sense of value in the woman's eyes. When a man becomes too predictable, he loses the very qualities that made him attractive in the first place. Moreover, scarcity does not mean playing games or being manipulative. It is not about intentionally ignoring someone or pretending to be busy. True scarcity comes naturally when a man is genuinely focused on his life, his purpose, and his growth. When a man is deeply engaged in something meaningful, he does not need to force himself to be scarce. He simply is. This organic scarcity makes a man more attractive because it is authentic, not fabricated. Women can sense when a man is pretending to be unavailable versus when he is genuinely driven by his own ambitions. Another reason scarcity works is because it fosters a sense of appreciation. When something is readily available, people take it for granted. When it is not, they cherish it more. A man who is selective with his time creates anticipation and excitement when he does choose to spend time with a woman. The moments they share together become more meaningful because they are not given freely or out of desperation. This dynamic keeps the attraction alive, as women will naturally desire more of what is not always available. Ultimately, a man who understands the principle of scarcity creates an aura of high value and desirability. He does not overextend himself. He does not make himself too. Instead, he operates from a position of self-respect and confidence, knowing that his time and energy are precious. Women in turn recognize this and respond with heightened attraction. Scarcity creates demand, and demand creates value. This is the key to maintaining intrigue, respect, and long-term attraction. One of the most compelling forces in attraction is mystery. When a man is unpredictable, intriguing, and not easily figured out, women naturally become more curious about him. This curiosity fuels attraction because the unknown is far more exciting than the known. When a man lays everything out too soon, his emotions, his availability, his life story, he eliminates the sense of wonder that keeps a woman engaged. On the other hand, a man who maintains an air of mystery keeps her on her toes, making every interaction feel fresh, exciting, and unpredictable. Women are naturally drawn to men who present a challenge. A challenge does not mean being difficult or playing manipulative games. It means that a man does not give himself away too easily. He does not immediately bend to her every request, nor does he desperately seek her approval. Instead, he remains slightly out of reach, making her feel like she has to put in effort to win him over. This creates a dynamic where she feels emotionally invested in the process, making the attraction deeper and more intense. When something is too easy to obtain, people often take it for granted. But when there is effort involved, they appreciate it more. Many men make the mistake of thinking that being overly available and predictable will make them more desirable. They believe that if they respond instantly to every text, always say yes to every invitation, and reveal all their thoughts and feelings right away, they will come across as loving and devoted. However, the reality is quite the opposite. When a man is too transparent, there is no sense of adventure, no element of surprise. Women lose interest quickly when they feel like they have a man completely figured out. A man who is mysterious, on the other hand, keeps them engaged because there is always more to discover. Another key reason mystery is so attractive is that it stimulates a woman's imagination. When a man does not reveal everything about himself right away, a woman starts to fill in the gaps on her own. This creates emotional investment because she begins to think about him even when he is not around. She wonders what he is doing, what he is thinking, and what makes him tick. The more a woman thinks about a man, the more she becomes attached to him. This is why men who are a bit unpredictable and enigmatic tend to leave a lasting impression, while those who are overly predictable fade into the background. Maintaining mystery does not mean being dishonest or evasive. It simply means not oversharing too soon and allowing a natural sense of intrigue to develop. A man who is truly confident does not feel the need to explain himself all the time or prove his worth through excessive words and gestures. Instead, he lets his actions speak for themselves, allowing a woman to slowly uncover different layers of his personality. This makes the process of getting to know him more exciting and rewarding. Challenge also plays a crucial role in attraction. Women value what they have to work for. If a man is too eager to please or too accommodating, he removes the sense of excitement that comes from earning his affection. A woman wants to feel like she has accomplished something when she captures a man's attention. This is why men who maintain high standards and do not give themselves away too easily tend to be more desirable. They show that they are selective and that they will not lower their standards just for the sake of gaining approval. A man who is a challenge also creates a sense of respect. When he does not immediately conform to a woman's expectations or demands, she sees him as someone with a strong sense of self. This independence is highly attractive because it signals that he is his own person, someone who does not rely on external validation. Women admire men who stand their ground, who have their own opinions, and who are not afraid to disagree when necessary. This type of man is seen as a leader, not a follower, and leaders naturally command attention and admiration. Ultimately, mystery and challenge go hand in hand in creating powerful attraction. A man who is intriguing and slightly unpredictable keeps a woman emotionally engaged, while a man who presents a challenge ensures that she values his presence. This combination makes a man stand out from the rest, leaving a lasting impact and making every interaction feel exciting and dynamic. One of the most powerful traits a man can possess is the confidence to walk away. This does not mean being cold, dismissive, or playing games. It means having enough self-respect to never tolerate situations that undermine his value. A man who is willing to walk away from a bad deal, a disrespectful woman, or a toxic relationship instantly becomes more attractive. Why? Because it shows that he is not dependent on anyone for his happiness. Women are instinctively drawn to men who are secure in themselves, who do not cling desperately, and who maintain control over their own emotional well-being. Most men fear walking away because they believe it will cost them the relationship. They think that if they set boundaries or refuse to tolerate poor treatment, the woman will leave and they will be left alone. However, the irony is that the opposite is usually true. When a man demonstrates that he is not afraid to lose a woman, she perceives him as more valuable. It signals that he is not needy, that he has options, and that he refuses to settle for anything less than what he deserves. This kind of confidence is magnetic. It challenges a woman in a way that makes her want to prove her worth. The ability to walk away is directly tied to self-respect. A man who lacks self-respect will endure mistreatment, hoping that if he just tries harder, he will be appreciated. He will ignore red flags, tolerate disrespect, and compromise his own values just to keep the relationship going. But a man with true self-respect operates differently. He understands that no woman is worth sacrificing his dignity. If a relationship is draining him, causing him stress, or making him feel undervalued, he is willing to leave because he knows his own worth. Women admire men with this mindset because it shows that they have standards. Confidence in walking away also prevents a man from becoming emotionally dependent. Many men attach their entire sense of happiness and identity to a woman, which places enormous pressure on the relationship. When a woman senses that a man is overly dependent on her for emotional validation, it becomes suffocating. She begins to feel like she has too much power over him, and this often leads to a loss of attraction. On the other hand, a man who is willing to walk away maintains a healthy sense of detachment. He enjoys the relationship, but he does not need it to feel complete. This emotional independence is incredibly attractive. Another key aspect of walking away is the ability to recognize when a situation is no longer serving you. Many men stay in relationships that drain them, hoping that things will change. They tolerate disrespect, emotional manipulation, or lack of effort because they fear being alone. But a strong man understands that leaving a bad situation is a sign of strength, not weakness. He does not waste time trying to force something that is not working. He knows that by walking away, he creates space for something better, whether that is a healthy relationship, personal growth, or new opportunities. Women are naturally drawn to men who have options. When a man is willing to walk away, he sends a clear message: I have choices. He does not need to beg for love or chase someone who is not equally invested. This is highly attractive because it shows abundance rather than scarcity. Women respect men who have the mindset of abundance, who understand that there are countless opportunities out there and that they do not need to cling to any one person for validation. This attitude makes a man appear more desirable simply because he does not operate from a place of desperation. Walking away also forces people to respect you. When a man continuously tolerates bad behavior, he teaches others that they can treat him however they want without consequences. But when he is willing to walk away, he demands respect. People value what they fear losing, and when a woman realizes that a man will not stick around if she does not treat him well, she is more likely to appreciate him. It sets a standard for how he expects to be treated, and only those who truly value him will rise to meet that standard. Ultimately, confidence in walking away is one of the most attractive qualities a man can have. It demonstrates strength, self-respect, and emotional independence, all traits that women find irresistible. A man who is not afraid to lose someone is often the one who is valued the most. By maintaining this mindset, he naturally commands respect, admiration, and genuine attraction without ever needing to chase or beg for it. One of the most attractive qualities in a man is his ability to control his emotions and remains stable no matter what challenges he faces. Emotional control is not about suppressing feelings or acting like a robot. It is about being composed, rational, and resilient under pressure. Women are naturally drawn to men who exude emotional strength because it signals reliability, maturity, and confidence. A man who can handle stress, adversity, and emotional turbulence without losing his composure demonstrates that he is a pillar of strength, someone a woman can trust and respect. Emotional stability is rare in today's world, where many people are ruled by their impulses, react emotionally to minor inconveniences, or seek constant validation to regulate their moods. A man who is in control of his emotions, who does not let anger, jealousy, or insecurity dictate his actions, immediately stands out. When a man can remain calm and collected, even in difficult situations, it makes a woman feel safe around him. She knows that he will not crumble under pressure or let his emotions get the best of him, which makes him a dependable and attractive partner. Women subconsciously test men to see how they handle pressure. These tests, often called shit tests, are not necessarily malicious, but are a way for a woman to gauge a man's strength. If a man becomes defensive, emotional, or desperate when faced with resistance, it signals weakness. However, if he remains unfazed, confident, and unbothered, it communicates that he is secure in himself. This unshakable confidence is incredibly attractive because it reassures a woman that she is dealing with a man who is in control of his own emotions and does not need external validation to feel good about himself. A man who lacks emotional control often falls into the trap of neediness and desperation. If he gets overly anxious when a woman does not text back, reacts aggressively to small disagreements, or allows his mood to be dictated by her actions, he appears weak. Women do not want to feel like they have to manage a man's emotions or be responsible for his happiness. A man who is easily swayed by his emotions creates an unstable dynamic where the woman feels like she has more emotional strength than he does. This imbalance is a major turnoff because it makes her feel more like a caretaker than a romantic partner. Another important aspect of emotional control is the ability to handle rejection and failure with grace. Many men fear rejection so much that they either avoid taking risks or become bitter and resentful when things do not go their way. But a man who is emotionally stable understands that rejection is a part of life. He does not take it personally, nor does he allow it to shake his confidence. Instead, he learns from it and moves forward without bitterness or desperation. This level of resilience is incredibly attractive because it shows that he is not dependent on any one outcome to feel good about himself. Emotional control also extends to how a man handles conflict. In relationships, disagreements are inevitable, but the way a man responds to them makes all the difference. A man who loses his temper, raises his voice, or reacts impulsively demonstrates a lack of self-mastery. On the other hand, a man who can stay calm, communicate effectively, and find solutions without unnecessary drama shows leadership and maturity. Women want to be with a man who can de-escalate conflicts, not one who makes them worse by being emotionally reactive. Having strong emotional control also means being selective with where and how a man invests his energy. Not every situation deserves a reaction. A man who reacts emotionally to every minor inconvenience, criticism, or challenge wastes his mental energy on things that do not matter. A high-value man knows how to pick his battles and does not allow trivial situations to disrupt his peace. He understands that his time, focus, and emotional well-being are too valuable to be wasted on negativity. This level of self-discipline and control makes him more respected and admired by those around him. Ultimately, emotional control is about mastering oneself. A man who has full control over his emotions is not easily swayed by external circumstances, nor does he let others dictate his mood or sense of self-worth. He remains grounded, rational, and composed in all situations, which makes him incredibly attractive. Women want to be with a man who provides stability, not one who is emotionally chaotic or unpredictable. By cultivating emotional strength and resilience, a man not only enhances his own life, but also becomes a magnet for high-quality relationships and opportunities. A man on a mission is irresistible. There is nothing more attractive to a woman than a man who is deeply committed to his purpose. A man with a mission, whether it's building a business, mastering a craft, achieving a personal goal, or making an impact, radiates a sense of direction and confidence that naturally draws people to him. When a man is focused on something greater than himself, he exudes a level of ambition and self-respect that sets him apart. Women are instinctively drawn to men who have drive because it signals strength, stability, and leadership, all qualities that make a man highly desirable. A man who is truly on a mission does not prioritize relationships above his purpose. This does not mean he neglects love or avoids connection, but rather that he does not allow romantic pursuits to distract him from his long-term goals. Too many men lose themselves in relationships, shifting all their energy and attention toward a woman while abandoning their personal aspirations. This is a fatal mistake because it makes a man seem directionless and overly dependent on external validation. Women do not want to be the center of a man's universe. They want to be part of a life that is already exciting, fulfilling, and purposeful. When a man is fully dedicated to his mission, he naturally creates an aura of self-sufficiency. He does not need a woman to feel complete because he is already whole on his own. This independence is incredibly attractive because it removes the pressure from the relationship. A man who is too emotionally dependent on a woman for his happiness will inevitably become needy and insecure. On the other hand, a man who is busy building something meaningful does not have time to constantly seek reassurance. This balance keeps attraction alive because it prevents the relationship from becoming suffocating or one-sided. Women crave the energy of a man who is passionate about something beyond just them. Passion is contagious, and when a man is deeply engaged in his mission, his enthusiasm and excitement spill over into every aspect of his life, including his relationships. A woman wants to be with a man who is driven, who wakes up every day with a sense of purpose, and who is constantly striving to become better. This kind of man is never stagnant. He is always evolving, learning, and growing. That level of momentum makes a relationship dynamic and inspiring rather than routine and predictable. A man with a strong sense of purpose also commands respect. People in general admire those who are relentlessly pursuing their dreams. Women in particular find it incredibly appealing when a man is disciplined and committed to something important. This is because ambition signals potential. It shows that he is capable of providing, leading, and making things happen. No woman wants to be with a man who is aimless, who lacks direction, or who drifts through life without a plan. A man who has a mission is naturally seen as more valuable because he is constantly working toward a future that is bigger than himself. Another key reason why a man on a mission is irresistible is that he does not chase. A man who is truly focused on his goals does not waste time pursuing people who do not reciprocate his energy. He does not beg for attention, he does not prioritize temporary pleasures over long-term success, and he certainly does not allow a woman to become his sole purpose in life. This level of detachment is powerful because it makes a woman feel like she has to earn his attention. When a man is busy creating, building, and striving for greatness, he becomes the kind of person that women naturally want to be around. A man with a mission also has a much lower tolerance for mediocrity. He is selective about the people he allows into his life, and this includes the women he dates. He does not settle for relationships that drain his energy or distract him from his goals. Instead, he surrounds himself with people who support his vision, challenge him to grow, and add value to his life. This level of discernment makes him more attractive because it shows that he has standards and that he will not compromise his path for temporary validation. Ultimately, a man who is truly on a mission is a force to be reckoned with. He is not swayed by distractions, he does not seek approval, and he does not deviate from his path for the sake of fleeting emotions. This unwavering commitment to his goals makes him stand out in a world where many men lack direction. Women respect, admire, and are deeply attracted to men who have a vision for their lives. Because being with such a man means being part of something exciting, meaningful, and full of potential.